The views expressed by our guests in the following video are solely the opinions of our guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and or opinions of the Ola 7 podcast show. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another interesting episode of Genius Kids. My name is Sophia, and today we're going to be focusing on a great episode, in my opinion, because we're going to be focusing on climate change. So today we've got our two guests.
Hello, Sophia.
Hi, Sophia.
So would you guys like to introduce yourselves, maybe say your name?
All right, so my name is Elaine Chiroto. I'm from the University of Zimbabwe. I'm the chairperson for Disaster Management Student Association and vice president for climate control.
Hi, everyone. My name is Munesuishe Chiveso from University of Zimbabwe. I'm the Secretary General for Climate Control and also the Zimbabwean delegate to the World Green Economy Young Leaders 2025 to 2026 cohort.
That's great, you two. So as you can see, these guys have both done interesting things in this sector of climate change, both advocating for the country at regional and national levels. Thank you for that, guys.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so before we start, how about we start with a little icebreaker? Okay, so if climate change advocacy, right, were a superhero, what superpowers would it have?
I think I would go for the power of transformation, just to see how fragile our world is and how we are interconnected. So, if like any superhero story, it depends on how we use it, either good or bad. So, yeah, the power of transformation.
What power do you think?
Okay, for me, I would think I would go with the manipulation. Like climate change would, if it was a hero, during drought times would just summon rain, summon floods, etc., depending on the situation, but in good faith.
Oh, okay. So in you guys' own words, what is climate change exactly?
Okay, so climate change, basically this is the rapid change in weather patterns due to time. So, for example, we can say we used to have rainfalls from October to December, but now we are having rainfalls from December going onwards. Yeah, basically that's climate change, but there are some issues that will be causing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also to just make it clear that climate change is natural, but then lately it has been caused by humans to be very, how can I say it, 100 times more than it should be. So it's actually a good thing, but then now we are making it worse, which isn't good, because now it's destroying our planet, and we should just go back to it being natural and evolving as it should.
Okay, so in short, it's just like the weather changing, but it's being sped up. Like it's supposed to change, but it's just being worsened in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what inspired you guys to delve into climate change?
Okay, so I think I was talking to you lately, Kuti. This isn't something that I've been doing since let's say since I was a child. But then when I turned 19, I was talking to my principal and I was saying, you know what, Elaine, you should do something to change the world. You know, just try to change the world in a perspective that suits you more. And then that's when I saw disaster management. And into disaster management, I learned about climate change and saw that the world is dying. So we should do something about it. And that's when I started being an activist and also raising awareness and campaigns so that people change their perspectives and also try to make sure that we save our planet. Because we
Okay.
don't have another one.
Yeah, that's very true. And for you?
Okay, as for me, I got to start venturing into climate change issues when I read about the Laudato Si, a letter which was written by Pope Francis, talking about caring for nature and environment. So I came across these two words, climate change, and I got interested, like, what is really climate change? And I had to go and research, and that's when I realized that we are really falling behind in advocating for these things. We need to, as youths, we need to fasten our seat belts and engage into these climate change issues.
That's nice. Okay, so do you guys actually do protests?
Well, not protests exactly, but campaigns, awareness campaigns. We go to schools, we talk to people, especially young people, because we want to motivate them to change it, because they are the leaders of tomorrow, whether we like it or not. So we want them to have a planet to lead. So we just do campaigns, not really protests. I feel like it's a bit radical because we want people to change. We want people to accept it. We don't want to force them to accept it. So I'll go with campaigns.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about for those people out there who actually take this thing a little bit too seriously? Like, those guys who actually like push it, and then it kind of drives people away from the whole idea.
People have different perspectives, like I said, but I'm one who thinks don't be too radical, because you want people to listen to you.
Yeah.
If you're radical, people will say, they're making a lot of noise, they're not doing anything. But if you talk to them nicely, guys, we need to change. Yes, sometimes I'm gonna be like, yo, this is like Greta Thunberg who went and pointed fingers to the world leaders. You have to change. But if you want to change people's perspectives, you have to sit down with them, talk to them nicely. Guys, the world is dying. We need to do something about it. So
Okay.
I won't be too radical about it.
Okay, so you mentioned Greta, and honestly, I've heard a lot about her. I think she did quite well, because she started from a young age. So, yeah, shout out to her on that one.
Yeah,
Like, she really did try.
She did a lot.
So, do you guys have anyone who inspires you specifically in climate change?
Well, I love cartoons. So I would go with there's this cartoon that you used to watch when we were very young on Cartoon Network called Captain Planet and the Planeteers. It was long
okay.
back. It was long
I
back.
get Cartoon Network, but it's fine.
Yeah, so to me, it motivated me because it showed how people from diverse backgrounds can do teamwork and can actually change the planet for sure. So for a fictional character, I would go with Captain Planet, and also in real life scenarios, I would go with Greta Thunberg because she's the boss.
Yeah. And for you?
Yeah, as for me, I would go with Tarzan. Yeah, you know Tarzan who lived in the jungle. He reminds me of how back then people used to live in humanity with nature, caring for the nature. If you look at those cartoons, Tarzan would live with the wildlife in harmony, even with it. You take care of the plants, the trees, and so forth. So if we have that same mentality that Tarzan has is in real life, I think we can make a greater impact in reducing this impact of climate change. And also in real life, my hero is the Chief Director for Climate Change and Meteorological Services in Zimbabwe, Mr. Washington Shakata.
Oh, that's nice. You guys have nice inspirations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
We want to inspire other people too. So I hope we'll be someone else's superheroes.
No, well, I'm sure you guys are inspiring people. You've already inspired me to also do better, because I care about the environment, but
Yes.
there's always more that you could do.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so there are many other young people out there, right, who might want to start delving into climate change. What would you tell those people?
Delve into your passion. Don't we have a situation where people want to change the world just from the beginning. Start small. Join school clubs, talk to your community, volunteer, plant one tree at a time. You don't have to change the world immediately, but you can do it. The steps can connect into one bigger milestone, and then you can change the planet. So yeah.
Okay, so now delving into what your actions have actually caused, are there any key achievements you'd like to list?
Yes, we've got a lot of achievements we have done so far. In terms of campaign awareness, we've since between 2023 and now, we've managed to educate more than 150,000 students and registered climate change clubs in several schools, Harare and in Chino, and also in Murewa district. And also we're working on an initiative on reforestation projects. So we started with Wings of Grace in Mufakosi. For now, we'll be going to look for another school in Harare also sometime this month. And also later in November, December, we'll also go and start a forest in Murewa again.
That's nice. Okay, so in general, what's been your proudest moment so far?
Well, I was part of the Ramsar Convention delegates. Went to Victoria Falls in July, and I was proud to see how many African youth had the same mindset. We want to save our planet, like I said before, and I was proud to see how we just sat down and started talking. How can we save it? How can we unite? It shows that no matter where we are all interconnected. It's all a system. We are all one. despite the borders, and we all want the same thing. So I was proud to see how the youths are making changes in their planets, are moving and are pushing so much that the government is now listening, and the government is now giving them their own sessions, then they're also sitting down with them saying, let's do this, let's make these policies, let's make their voices heard, because our work done by someone else is not our work that benefits us. Yes.
Okay, so we're saying the word youth a lot, right? What about for the elderly? What can we do for them, or what can they do for the environment?
They should teach us what they've done. I won't say they have failed, but because they have done so many things, they have tried to help, because they are the one who have set the pace for us. We wouldn't have known about this if they hadn't done the work. So I'll say the elderly should just give us what they have done already, but also pave way for us. They should allow the youth to say something, because I feel like as the youth, we are very innovative. We have something different. We are very active. So they should just make the platform available for us. And if we say we want to do this, then give it a try. Give us a try. Because as youth, we are very powerful. I believe that we can change the world. We can really change it. But if only they allow us to do so.
Okay, and Munesuishe, as the Secretary General of Climate Control, which initiative do you think has made the biggest impact so far?
So far, the biggest initiative is on climate education awareness, because there's really need to educate our fellow peers and the kids in school, so that when they grow up, they grow knowing about climate change, the impacts, and they also start acting. About climate change, it's not, people when they hear about climate change, they think it's something big. They think like it's only companies and countries that contribute. But what I can tell you that contributing to climate change starts from an individual level. Like, for example, let me tell you one thing. If you have like this water bottle, right, it's plastic, and then you drink your water and you just throw it away in the street. You know, this plastic would take something like a minimum of 200 years to decompose. And by that time, when it's on the roadside or wherever it's going, it might end up in a water body that's now polluting the water, disturbing the aqua life. It will be producing gases that will also affect the ozone layer. So you might think that you as yourself, you are not doing any impact, but we as individuals, we will be affecting the environment. So it needs to take it from an individual perspective first. So that's why we do education awareness campaigns, and we are really trying and we are really pushing in that, so that at the end of the day, if we all have knowledge on climate change, it's the Gen Z or AMA 2K, when you grow up, maybe our world will be a better place without having these climate change effects the way we are having them right now.
Yeah, you have a point, because it's not like one person's going to keep on going out to throw multiple bottles on purpose.
Yes.
It's multiple people, maybe making small differences, but it actually matters.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe for those little kids out there who might need something to actually grab their attention, what could you do to make climate change sound a bit more fun?
Okay, so for climate change to sound a bit more fun, what you can do is like, you can give you a tree and then name it after you. So if you say Sophia Junior, it means now you've got a responsibility to take care of your junior self, the growth of the tree, and also, it creates a bond between the two of you guys, and you have to make sure that you are taking care of of this tree. When you see it wilting and so forth, you'll be like, no, I should water this and so forth. And also the other thing is introducing like games in school that are related to climate change. So you can be a student doing art, paintings, drawings, but you can then now integrate your art with climate change, and then you start painting things to do with climate change, communicating with the world. You can be a singer, an artist. You can sing about how the world is being affected by climate change and stuff. So climate change is very broad. There are various ways you can interact. So it's a very broad thing.
Okay, so it's about installing responsibility and knowing that there's the chance to actually be able to do something.
Yes, and making it a culture. Make it very cool. Make it climate activism cool. Like when you go on TikTok, talk about it. Make people believe that this is something that you should do. Like, just like how you make video games cool, just like how you make those trends cool, make climate change cool too.
Okay, so can you share a memorable experience about climate change in general?
When we went to Wings of Grace, it's an orphanage home in Mufakosi. We went and we did the climate education tour there. We gave them trees. To me, I loved how the children were ready to learn. They were participating so much more than adults can. If you go to other conferences, adults will be quiet, say, hey, can you tell us something about climate change? They'll be quiet. But with the children, they loved it. We played games with them. We talked to them about climate change, and they wanted to know more. Some even asked me, hey, what can we do to join disaster management? I was like, just go and read more. And then when you come to university, you become part of the Disaster Management Association. It's for everyone. So to me, it was memorable to see how children are ready to learn. They're so motivated, and they're very light. When you talk to them, they just want to know more. Tell us more about disaster management. And funny enough, they actually do know more. Some even knew about Cyclone Idai. I was like, you know this? They said, yes. We're very, very aware of what's happening to our planet. So it was memorable for me to just understand that children know, and they're light, and they are ready to learn.
That's sweet. So you guys actually do inspire people.
Yes.
That's nice. Okay, so how do you balance personal life with climate change and everything altogether?
It's quite difficult. Like I said, I'm a student at the University of Zimbabwe, and also there's my personal life. Then their leadership role, being the chairperson, being the vice president, is very difficult. But I sacrifice most of my free time because I know what I'm doing has an impact. I've seen what the work that we have been doing, how it's impacting different people. And I was like, you know what? If I'm sacrificing my free time and people are appreciating, then I'll go on and do that. Although their sleepless nights, you have to do assignments, you have to go and talk to your friends. They'll be calling, hey, you don't want to talk with us anymore.
That still happens in university as well.
It's a lot.
Okay.
It's crazy. But you just learn to make it a normal life. You just learn to say, this is me, this is what I'm doing, and I have to appreciate it. Because if I stop, then who would do it? And if I stop, then I would demotivate a lot of people, because a lot of people are looking up after me. Because as the Disaster Management Student Association chairperson, there are students who are saying, we want to be where you are. So if I am to leave, and if I am to say, oh, I'm done with this, then they'll also be demotivated. They won't want to do anything. So to me, balancing this is difficult, but just making it normal is the only way to go.
Okay, so you have to normalize it. Make sure that it becomes part of your daily life.
I breathe climate change. I eat climate change. I sleep with climate change. I dream climate change.
Okay, and what about for you?
Yeah, so for me, as she said, it's a bit difficult to balance, but it takes all it takes is also about dedication and commitment. So for me, I have made sure that I'm committed to climate change issues. Why? Because I discovered that if I ignore these issues, say I want to focus on school, I want to focus on enjoying my life and so forth. Look, for instance, if I say right now I want to go out to a park, I can't even go because it's very hot. You get the sense? So in order for me to know why is it now we are having these very hot days than the previous seasons, it's all because of climate change. So for me, I have to make sure that I put climate change first. If I manage to deal with climate change, it will make my life easy when it comes to enjoying my personal life, school, everything. It becomes soft for me. So I have made sure that climate change is a part of me. I have to make sure that every day, whatever I do, I have to touch something on climate change, whether I read an article, whether I act on it, whether I interact with people and so forth. But I just have to, the same way I do when I'm at school, that's the same way I do with climate change here.
Okay, so have you ever faced skepticism or pushbacks, anything like that, maybe criticism?
Yeah, as a youth, the the elder ones will be like, how much do they know? You're not an expert on this. So obviously you face some criticism like, do you really want this in the policies and so forth? And also just at school, you're trying to tell people, let's do this, and say, yo, you're just a nerd. Why are you doing all these things?
They actually use that word. Okay.
Yes, it exists because they're out there having fun. They don't know what we are facing. Some of the people don't even know, Kuti, we are facing the most dangerous times in our lives because of climate change. So obviously they won't understand the work that you're doing. And some people just want to see results. They don't understand that when I'm going to Murewa, Musami, and talking to those kids, I'm changing something. They'll be like, yo, you're just going there to have fun, just want to travel. I'm like, no, I want to help people. So obviously you always face challenges and skepticism on everything that you do. But you just have to keep on being motivated.
Okay, so it actually does exist, but you have to keep on trying. That's what I'm seeing from it.
Yes.
Honestly, I'm thanking you guys because you really are trying. Like, you actually are putting in the effort.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing our best.
Yeah, you really are. Okay, so for all those children out there, just in general, what do you feel like that we could do to push them further? Like, apart from what you've already said, like, is there anything else apart from gains and stuff? Maybe to incorporate technology and stuff like that.
Yeah, we are born in the technology era, so use that to your best advantage. You create something innovative when it comes to climate change management, and also when you go back home, talk about it. Because I realized where I live that people didn't know that climate change existed until I started working on it. So people be like, what? That's happening. I'm like, yeah, can't you see it's raining too early or it's raining too late? There's no rain whatsoever. They'll be like, we thought it was natural. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not natural. So I would say, like I said before, make it a culture. Make it something that you relate to every day. When you see something wrong in with our climate, with our weather, just make sure that you go back home and say, hey, you guys, did you see that it's too hot than it should be? Because if you don't make it a culture, if you make it a part-time thing, because we have youth that make it a part-time thing, when they go back home, they're doing something else different. So, but when they're on the spotlight, they're talking about climate change. But make it a culture. Make it something that you relate to every day. And as children, you have the most powerful voices because your parents listen to you. So if you talk to them about, like, don't throw litter on when we're driving, don't, when we on our birthday, can we please have a tree so that we plant it somewhere?
I don't think Anne's gonna ask for a tree on their birthday though.
No, but it comes with the mindset. If you change your mindset, you find there's something really nice. Because we have people that are doing that. They say, I want a tree on my birthday. And when you bond with it, like he said, it's something that will change everyone's mindset. Because they'll be like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. Like just having a pet dog, you have a pet tree.
I feel like if it were a pet tree, though, it'd need to be like an exotic kind, one that does something interesting. Because I actually like the idea of having plants in the house. I actually have my own plants by my windowsill, right?
Yes.
But the problem is, my sisters, they don't find it especially interesting. They do like nature in general, but there'd have to be something special about it for everyone to connect with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also another thing I've noticed is that you do have a point when you say that, like, certain days it rains when it shouldn't be raining. Because I actually noticed, and it was really bothering me. And when I told people about it, they're like, oh no, it just seems fine to me. It's not a problem. At least it's sunny.
It's actually a big problem, but you won't see it. That's the thing with climate change. You won't see it now. You see it later. Maybe it's going to be my child who will see that something's wrong with the planet. But right now, it's only those who are reading the books, those who are going through the YouTube science videos, TED videos, and actually analyzing that something is wrong with our planet. But if you're just a normal day-to-day person, you won't see it. But the planet's dying. We don't have another Earth. We can go to Mars. We can go to the moon. And if we are to go there, only a few people will go, of which are already 8 billion. So you have to make sure that we save what we already have, because God gave us one planet and we should take care of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, so do you have any experiences you'd like to share that made you feel happy about climate change in general?
Yes, as for me, I got a privilege to work with the climate change department in the ministry, and getting the chance to work with the climate gurus in Zimbabwe, getting the chance to learn directly from them, asking them what all those curious questions, getting to know all the policies that are in for Zimbabwe. So for me, that was a very great experience, because I learned a lot from that, and also having the opportunity to be a delegate for the World Green Economy Young Leaders. We had to get the chance to interact with many young leaders from different countries, and that's during that interaction, I realized that we are facing the same when it comes to climate change. Doesn't affect you differently. That whether you're in Dubai or you're in Zimbabwe, the climate change is different. It just affects us all because it's something that has to do with nature. And also got the chance right now. I'll be working on a capstone project on developing a green economy policy for the Philippines. So I'll get to learn more about the Philippines, what they do, their culture, and whilst I'll be developing that project. Yeah.
Okay. So if you could change one policy or law in this country, what would it be?
So for me, when it comes to policy, I would actually encourage for the government to have a youth climate policy, whereby the youth will be able to get funding, having funding set aside for youth who are into climate change initiatives to sponsor those projects. Because believe me, there are a lot of projects that the youths have created, and most of them they have been trained on project writing and so forth. But the biggest challenge is on accessing the funding. So if you can have a policy that mandates that at least per year, maybe 5 million is set aside for youth-led projects, and the government has to make sure that those projects are implemented and that money is used. Yes.
And also to just invest in climate education, because I'm a Christian, so there's this verse that goes, the lack of knowledge destroys my people. So you want everyone to know about climate change. Just like how we're talking English right now, right? It's because you learned it from a young age. Climate change, we also should talk about climate change from a young age. We should inspire those who are starting from nursery until we go to university, because climate change affects everything. You can go to accounting, they can talk about climate finance. You can go to geography, they can talk about environment problems. You can go to disaster management, they'll talk about climate risk disasters. So at least touch everywhere. Let's invest climate education from schools, from nursery until we go to university, so that everyone knows about it. And even when we go to remote areas, to villages, to people at Kumusha, let them know about climate change. Because some of them, they actually have the ideas, they actually have the solutions because of indigenous knowledge. So let's just teach them that, your voice matters too. And if they know what climate change is, they'll relate to it. They'll say, oh yeah, if the birds do this, do that, then there's something that's going on with our weather. So I think the policies that they should really, really push is climate education.
Okay, so guys, just remember, this is mostly for teachers and schools, but family can do it as well. Parents can teach their children, older siblings can help younger siblings can also help older siblings.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay. So how can Zimbabwe further increase its sustainability when it comes to climate change?
Okay, so when it comes to sustainability, I think Zimbabwe should focus more on circular economy. So by circular economy, it's like we'll be having projects that will be generating money on its own, but doing it in an environment-friendly way. For example, what you can do is like for our plastic bottles, we can recycle them and use them to make clothing materials, bricks, etc. So you see, apart from having Coca-Cola producing those bottles, if we recycle them, now we are using them to make other products that can also boost our economy, and also switching to solar from using coal. So those are the kind of project as a country we must embrace and start implementing as soon as possible.
Yeah, it's expensive to change some of the things that you're already doing, like using coal, cutting down trees. But what we can do is, if someone's cutting down a tree, the Zimbabwe government has to give them more trees to plant. So if someone cuts one tree, plant 3 more. So that way we are really sustainable. Yes. And also when it comes to energy, let's just do just transition. We can use solar power, solar energy and so forth, but just day by day. We don't have to really change. Like I said, I don't like the radical idea because it can affect a lot of people. And a lot of people are surviving through those things that are destroying the climate. So we have to just change it day by day and say, can we just transition from coal, but also give people money to buy solar energy, or you can actually pay people for using solar energy. There are actually countries that pay people for using solar power and not using electricity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a way, recycling and all that can be made cheaper, but it depends to the extent that you do it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So where do you guys see yourselves in 10 years from now to do with climate advocacy? Are there any major changes that you'd expect to see?
I want to become an expert. I want to become an expert in climate change adaptation, help people adapt to climate change because the effects are already there. So, as there will be people who are helping in mitigation, to me, I want to be an expert in climate adaptation. And I also want to be, I would say, a junior lecturer because I love teaching and I love seeing the perspective of students, just making them change a little bit. So, in 10 years, I wish I would be an expert.
Okay. And for you?
As for me, in 10 years, I want to be a negotiator when it comes to climate change, especially advocating for youths in Africa. Because Africa right now is the most affected continent when it comes to climate change. And yet, those guys who invested a lot in causing that climate change, now they no longer want to invest back to Africa so that we find a way to survive those effects. So for me, I want to be a negotiator, negotiate, at those high table, at the COP, at the conference of parties where they'll be sitting. I want to go there and negotiate on behalf of the youth in Africa and everyone else. Yeah.
That's honestly a good idea because one thing I'm also worried about is like Africa in general. It's got great wildlife, right? We've got loads of animals, we've got different kinds of plants, but now there's so many trees, which means you can cut them all down, right?
Yes.
But then to plant them back, it's gonna take like let's say a tree, right, would take 20 years to be a fully grown one. The time doesn't really add up. Like
It doesn't add up.
yeah,
But
so
if we plant 3 trees, then at least we're expecting 3 to grow
yeah,
in
at
40,
least
20,
you're expecting
40
three
years.
to go.
Yeah.
So that will mean that at least we're being sustainable, but let's just not cut them down just because we're going to plant 3 more. Let's try to find alternative ways.
Okay, because another thing is like in nature, right? Let's say some sort of animal would want to eat one of the trees. So then we'd also like maybe need to increase that. Like it actually needs to be in the contracts, right?
Yes.
But then you also can't overdo it because let's say you plant up to 15 trees. Now the space might decrease, right? Because now animals won't have as much space. So another thing to consider is don't overdo it because that will also change the environment.
Yeah, there are actually spaces to do that. There are spaces to do green planting projects, and there are spaces that are reserved for our biodiversity, for our wildlife. So at least people have to respect those spaces. So if we say don't fish in Kariba Dam or on Zambezi River somewhere else, just don't do it there because there are spaces reserved for everything.
Okay, so what role do international partners play in supporting youth-led activities?
So for international partners from the UNFCCC, they actually help youths in building programs where you can learn more about climate change, courses on climate change. So you can actually go on their platform, especially the UNDP website. If you go there, there are a lot of courses to do with climate change, and they are for free, fortunately. You don't need to pay for them. You just have to learn maybe for a month, 2 months, etc., and then you get your certificate. And also some courses will require you to travel to a certain country to have physical lessons, and all those things. They'll make sure that they cover the expenses for you. But what they want to do is to capacitate people with climate change issues.
Yes, and we also have Young for Climate and the World Green Economy Organization that we are actually delegated to. We are the Global Green Economy Young Leaders Delegates for 2025 to 2026. So they are also helping you to capacitate them to understand more about green transitioning. So there are a lot of organizations that will help you. It's just you and your time.
Okay, so what do you expect to see? Like, if there wasn't climate change, like if we managed to find a solution, what results would you want to see?
I would want to see a greener planet. I would want to see people not going back to the industrialization era, because once we have a green climate, obviously we're going to have people who want to change it back to way back when we started industrialization. So I think I would want, like I said, a green planet, and also people reserving it, people being sustainable, and also just practicing green initiatives, not just only on our environment but also health wise, to also protect our bodies, because if we destroy the planet, we're also destroying ourselves. So I want us to be in that epic earth where it's just green, where it's just nice, those things that we see in movies, but we want it to be a reality.
Okay, so like since we're talking about reality, do you feel like this will actually happen? Do you feel like people will actually decide to change, or do you think that it'll just stay the same for long?
People will change.
You think people will change?
People
That's
will change,
nice.
but it will take time.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an overnight thing. It's going to really take a long time for people to change. But I believe with what we are expecting, the disastrous events that we're expecting, people will change. People will get afraid, because also fear will change people. I don't want to implement fear, but I know it's going to happen. So people will change, but it will take time. It won't be like next year everyone will be like, yay, we're climate activists. But maybe 20, 30 years. But it also happens if our government is working. Zimbabwe is really working in changing people's mindset. Do you know that we are one of the 13 countries that submitted their nationally determined contributions? It's a whole lot policy book that that the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change expects us to submit. And it was the only African country that submitted on time. Meaning Zimbabwe is really pushing when it comes to climate change. That's really great. That's awesome. So people will change, but it will take time. Obviously, there are the polluters that will actually cause a barrier. But if people wake up, they will say, okay, let's just do something about this. But like I said before, it's going to take a long time.
Okay, so compared to other countries, maybe all of them around the world, right? Do you think Zimbabwe is actually taking a really huge step, or do you think it's more of baby steps, but still going far?
For Zimbabwe is taking really huge steps. It's like one of the leading countries in advocating for climate change. Like she mentioned that Zimbabwe was the first in Africa to submit the NDC 3.0 country statement. And also when it comes to what you call the carbon trading markets, Zimbabwe was the first in the world to create an online registration platform where there's the whole of accountability to prevent, corruption, etc. A system that is accountable, that is also effective, and it's fast when it comes to approving those projects. It was actually the first in the world. Yes.
Okay, that's nice.
So it's taking bold steps. Zimbabwe is doing well. Once you get into the climate change industry, you see that, there are not people who are just faking it. They're actually making it a reality. And we try by all means to make sure that we save our country. And I'm really proud of Zimbabwe personally. When we are talking to those people from other countries, when you're having those global leadership programs, they're always like, Zimbabwe, we heard about it, it's doing a great job. And it shows how how our government and also our youth are trying to implement and also trying to mitigate the causes of climate change, and also using adaptation methods to make sure that we are all safe.
Okay, so to everyone out there, just remember, Zimbabwe actually is doing things for the world, okay, in general. So if you're not, you could always just join. It's a trendy thing to help the environment.
It's very trendy.
Yeah.
Like Greta Thunberg, just... I love her personally because she's very confident. It's something that a lot of us might not have, that level of confidence. So I always refer to her because it shows how youths have power. And it also shows how Gen Z... Do you know there's a study saying that Gen Z is changing the mindset of everything. So know that those that are coming after us, the Gen Alphas and so forth, you are Gen Alpha. They are going to change the whole mindset, and those are the people that I'm praying will change everything, because I know that the more generations to come, the more wider and awake that they will. They'll be here.
And also you must know that as climate control, we are very dedicated to pushing these initiatives. So when it comes to students, youths, and you yourself, you can even reach out to your school. If you want to learn more from us, if you want us to come and engage initiatives, tree planting and so forth, feel free to engage with us. We do not charge. We do it for free, yes.
That's
because
nice.
We do not have time to be looking around for money and charging people to come and plant trees and so forth, because we are really lagging behind compared to the way climate change is moving. So we need to really act on it. And as an organization, we are really dedicated to start implementing education awareness and projects in various schools. So for now, I brought you something that you have to go and implement yourself.
Okay.
So you can check. There's some books
thank
to
you.
do with climate change policies and materials that you can use in school. Whilst you learn, yes.
So this is the climate change adaptation, national adaptation plan that was released last year, 2024 in October. So
Okay.
it's like the latest things that we have so that you understand what adaptation is, what our plans are.
Okay, guys, so do you guys like to see? You could always just make sure that you just keep these in mind. Remember, spreading awareness actually does work. I think I'll be able to make some copies for other kids in my class as well.
Yeah, you can also reach out to the climate change management department. They'll give you more these books, and also there are books for children too, learning strategies for children, which will be very nice because there are cartoons and so forth. So yeah, there are a lot of books that will teach you more about climate change.
Okay, guys, so remember, you can always just do your best to help in climate change because you do live on the planet as well, so you do have to take care of it.
Yes.
And you know, one way I'd like to put this example is, let's say in your house, right? You live in a room. You're going to need to clean your room because you can't just be living there and letting it get dirty and stuff.
Yes.
It's the same thing with the planet. You have to try and make sure that you maintain the cleanliness. You can't just let it get, well, filthy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be filthy.
Because you're going to be living there. So make sure that you always add in whatever you can. And what advice would you give to anyone who's maybe feeling like what they're doing isn't enough?
So for people out there, I would like to tell you that whatever impact you are doing to reduce climate change effects, please do not stop. Continue. Whatever little thing you are doing, you are making a big difference. You might not see it today, but in the future, you will see how much you would have contributed in reducing these effects of climate change. So keep on pushing, yeah.
And
Okay.
you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to know the books. You just have to do the little that you're doing. It'll help. And in the long run, you're going to see that if you motivate other people by saying, guys, let's do this. Let's not throw our litter everywhere. You're going to be implementing something that the world will see in the next coming years.
Okay. So, for all the clubs and research and stuff, are there any ways that we can actually reach out to them, or like any clubs you'd like to mention that people would like to find out more about?
Okay, so there's the Disaster Management Student Association is at the University of Zimbabwe. You can come through to us and we'll guide you. If you want to start your own small club about disaster management in your schools, you can just call us and we'll help you. And there are also environmental clubs by Emma in schools. I think they exist in a lot of schools. You can also talk to those guys. And if you want to invite us into your environmental clubs, you want to learn more about disaster management and climate change, you can just call us. And I think those are most clubs that are related to when it comes to environmental problems, climate change, and also disaster management.
Okay. I'd also like to just give a big thank you to geography because
Yes.
in high school, right, we do geography, and honestly, it's taught me a lot about climate change. It's taught me about animals, how the rainforests are affected, how people are affected. So I'd just like to say thank you to any geographers out there. You're also making a difference.
You're awesome.
Yeah. And do you have any parting messages you'd like to share?
Like I said before, just to round up, climate change is real. It's not an abstract idea. It's real and it's happening. And also, you should make it a culture. Make it cool. It won't be interesting if you think it's only about the big-minded guys, the nerds, and so forth. Make it a really cool thing. Make it climate activism a really cool thing, and also make sure your friends join into the activism and do a little bit more research if you want to do it. And also, if you're a software engineer, you want to create those apps and also those games, create something that will save the planet, that will change people's mind. If you're a content creator, make content about climate change activism and also make content about disaster management. It's okay to inform people. People should know. People should have knowledge about this.
Yeah, as for me, if we take action on climate change issues, I believe together we can go green as the world. Yeah.
Okay. And is there one Zimbabwean place that must be protected by all costs?
Manapos. Mana pools should be saved.
Okay.
It's the only natural reservoir that we have. And as Zimbabweans, we should make sure that it is safe. There's no one who try to interact and create a bad scenario about it, because it has our biodiversity. It has our waters, the 4 waters. Mana means 4. So 4 pools. So we should try to make sure that it is kept well and nothing happens to it. Nothing should destroy it. Because even under UNESCO, it's a World Heritage Place. So we should make sure that it's reserved.
Okay, so I also have a few questions, right? With climate change in general, you know how people don't, like, I don't believe in the theory of evolution, right? But people do, like, animals and stuff. They do have to change according to the environment to be able to survive. So will people actually reach a stage where, I don't know, maybe the CO2 levels won't affect them at some cost, like, if we don't stop?
I hope we don't reach there.
Okay.
But it might happen. Because with the way that we are going, we have reached more than 1.5 degrees Celsius levels that we shouldn't. So I believe there's going to be a scenario. If we don't change, we're going to reach those. If you ever watched the movie called June, where it's just a deserted area, we're going to have not enough water.
I was going to watch that movie, but yeah.
Watch it so that you
also
know what
you
happened.
discover that they are in Greenland. There's now the melting of glaciers, which has now led to rise in sea levels. Right now, the water is rising by 1 centimeter every year. So meaning if we keep on, if we don't act on it, one day we'll wake up, the whole earth will be water. There'll be nowhere to go. Remember when we were growing up, Greenland, we used to know that Greenland is cold.
With ice,
yeah,
right?
it's ice. Then Iceland is green. But now, they are now taking up their names, their real names. Greenland is now actually becoming green, and Iceland is now getting the ice, but it's not a good thing. It's actually a very huge impact that is going to affect us if we do not act on it. Yeah.
And people might think that, like, the 1 centimeter per year and 1.5 degrees isn't much. It's actually a lot, because that's not how it's meant to be.
It's a lot. Imagine it's a whole sea, a whole ocean, and it's increasing by 1 centimeter. That can cause floods. So that's really scary.
Real problems. Like, places, like, let's say islands, right? They're actually suffering. Like, they'll be going lower. The people there won't notice maybe until 50 years' time, when maybe the water's now reaching their ankles and now they have to build higher houses. It's going to change the way humanity knows itself.
Yeah, and islands will disappear, which is really scary, because that means there's displacement of people, and that will cause social conflicts, because other people will be migrating to other countries. So we have people coming to maybe landlocked areas like Zimbabwe, and now we are fighting. We already have water shortage problems because of climate change. We're now fighting for those resources that are already low. So it will cause a lot of problems directly and indirectly.
Okay, so you've spoken a lot about people, but what do these things actually do to animals and plants?
Okay, so when it comes to animals, when it comes to droughts, you understand, like in Zimbabwe, right now it's very hot and there's no rainfall. That means our elephants will now start to migrate, going to Botswana, looking for greener pastures, because they wouldn't want to live where there's drought. And even if we want to block them from migrating to Botswana, they will die and we will lose our wildlife. So it's greatly affecting the wildlife. And also there's the issue of development. We need to have sustainable development. You know, if we develop in cities, where in places where it's meant for wildlife, we'll end up having human-wildlife conflicts, and that won't end well, because it means both the humans and the wildlife, we are now endangered. The humans will start killing the wildlife will start killing the humans, and we are now disturbing the ecosystem. So in fact, if we develop in those areas, we have to make sure that we do it in a sustainable way. Like, for example, if you have been to Victoria Falls, their city center, the CBD, you will see elephants will be roaming around, baboons, those wild dogs, whatever. There will be the zebras. You see, they are living in nature, in harmony with the wildlife there. So that's the way we must do as a nation.
Okay, guys, I love elephants. Like, they're my favorite animal. If you love me, just take care of the water. I don't want them to leave. Thank you guys so much for everything. I'm sure you've inspired someone out there.
Yeah, thank you for having us, and I hope Especially children, because I love children and I know that children will change everything. So I hope they'll be inspired by us and we'll start doing something different.
Okay, because like before, I didn't actually have a specific wildlife superhero in my opinion, but now it's you two. You guys actually inspired me.
Thanks.
At least I'm someone superhero.
Yeah, you guys count.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Remember, guys, this is Genius Kids with...
Elaine Chiroto.
And Munesuishe Chiveso.
And remember, you can always just try, get some information, do what you can, because wildlife actually does depend on us,
Yes.
as well as on itself. Thank you guys again so much for coming on. I really enjoyed today's episode.
Thank you for having
Thank you
us.
for having us.
See you guys. Bye.